with Eddie George. Time now for Say What? Andy Reid has finally won his first Super Bowl, so of course he was asked what he was doing after the game to celebrate. Say what?
How does Andy Reid celebrate tonight?
Well, yeah, I mean, I joked about it. I'm going to have a double cheeseburger tonight with extra cheese.
He ain't lying either. he said in a different interview he might have an extra patty on it as well. You deserve it, Andy.
Anything you want. A lot of meat, Andy. Take it in.
Man, give me 2 pieces of cheese. Hook it up.
Let's go.
Pretty sure it's probably in LIV.
Yeah, go ahead.
What'd you eat post-Super Bowl?
Post-Super Bowl celebratory meal. What was it?
I can't even remember, Jen. It was all a blur. I mean,
Remember what you drank?
We were at
We're
the
on
party.
The same page.
At the hotel, we were staying at the entire week. Once I showed up to the party, I don't remember what happened. I just know that we had a good time.
You had a good time.
The party that you have, I suspect this. I don't know, but I suspect this. The party that you have at your hotel after you win the Super Bowl is probably a lot better than the party that the 49ers had last night at their hotel when they
I
lost
would
the Super
imagine
Bowl.
so.
Just say it.
No question.
It's a little needle to Eddie.
Yeah, it is. I felt that.
I feel like that was uncalled for. I mean, I feel like that was...
Well, it's bad enough
He's wearing the ring right now.
blinding the guy with his ring all morning.
When that story was going, I was like, oh,
Let's see how it's going.
Oh, man.
That's all right.
We're good.
Speaking of Super Bowls, Niners and Chiefs battling down in Miami. The question coming in was if Jimmy Garoppolo could carry San Francisco to a win, and the Niners quarterback almost did, coming up just short. Jimmy G finishing up 20 of 31, 219 yards, 1 touchdown, but he had 2 costly interceptions. Here is Garoppolo after a disappointing Super Bowl loss.
It's an unreal feeling, something I've never felt before. I'm sure that none of these guys have felt before. It's but that, you know, the one positive you can take out of it is guys care about it. Guys care about each other. Guys care about this organization. You know, a lot of good came from this year. There's it's hard to look at it right now and see that good, but you know, a couple days down the line, you know, maybe look back and look back on it a little bit.
Nick, would you blame Jimmy Garoppolo for their loss last night?
It's not all on Jimmy, and the middle portion of the game, he was extraordinary. But the first 2 drives of the game, he was really bad. And the end of the game, he was horrible. And if you ask quarterbacks that make it to this level, here's the scenario. Ball in your hands, midfield, 2 minutes left, couple timeouts, down less than a touchdown. You sign up for that? Every quarterback worth the salt in NFL history would say yes. It's the situation against, by the way, a less than dominant defense. Yeah. Hey, the Chiefs even played better, and they played really well yesterday, I thought. But it's not like he was up against his own defense. Yep. And Jimmy Garoppolo failed in that spot. The coach, go ahead, Canty.
No, I was just thinking to myself, yeah, every quarterback would probably sign up for that. But let me tell you the head coach that wouldn't sign up for that.
Oh, Kyle
Shanahan.
Yeah.
Because he had the same situation at the end of the first half, and it was tied.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't think
right.
I don't think if he doesn't trust him when it's tied at the end of the first half with a minute left, he's going to trust him being down 4 with 2 minutes left and 2 timeouts.
100%. But you saw why Shanahan didn't want to trust him. In the first quarter, he throws a terrible interception that, honestly, it maybe should have been returned for a touchdown if he just turns better upfield. And then he settles himself after that and completes 13 of his next 15 passes. But can we show America what he did after that in the final 12 minutes of that football game? There's Patrick on the right. Patrick was perfect, of course. That passer rating's 2.8. I remind you, you get 39.6 for spiking the football. It's 2.8. It was 3 yards per attempt, a pick to officially end the game, and on the drive of the game, first down, ball batted down. Second down, almost throws a pick. Right. Third down, Emmanuel Sanders, open. We traded for him. Perfect. Absolute Hollywood moment. Oh, no. What happened there? I mean, and then fourth down, you take the sack after, by the way, taking a delay game that you can't afford to take. The refs just didn't whistle it in time. Right. So, no, Eddie, I can't put all the blame on him, but he had an opportunity to be a hero, and he failed to come through.
Well, this is who he is at this point. I think he can grow from this opportunity. I think he can, given the experience now, being in the postseason, playing in a big game, he can become a better player. But this is who he was, and Kyle Shanahan knew that. He didn't want to put him in this situation. If you looked at earlier in that drive, the last drive, they ran the ball a few times, so he can still mask his deficiencies behind that. Right. So you can use it as a threat. So he's not going to line up the 5 wides and beat you with that. So it's not all on him. I think it all comes down to Kyle Shanahan, to your point. You know, right before halftime, chose to not use his timeouts, you know, chose to take a knee, was satisfied going into halftime. And your team feeds off of that energy. So it was like a little fear there. Well, we don't really want to put it in Jimmy's hands at this point in time because we don't know what's going to happen. And at the end of the game, again, to your point, down by 4, the play calling wasn't right, but he had his opportunities to strike when he did, but he didn't do it. So, you know, it's not all on Jimmy. I think that's the best. At this point in time, that's the best of who he is.
And Canty, I've been more critical of Shanahan than anyone on the set. But what should be said is Shanahan called the play that on 3rd and 10, with less than 2 minutes left in the Super Bowl, drew up a touchdown.
Yeah,
and Jimmy Garoppolo's got to drop that one in the bucket. And he couldn't. And now Shanahan did some other things early in the game I'll criticize, but that play was drawn up and that play was there. And he was double covered and he had him beat. And I mean, that's a big overthrow. That's an overthrow by 5 yards.
Yeah, and that's why I can't blame Kyle Shanahan for the loss. I have to look at Jimmy Garoppolo, and that was the conversation coming into the Super Bowl, whether or not he was going to make the plays that he was going to have to make in order for his team to have a chance. And that 3rd down throw is one of those plays. I mean, we've seen Eli Manning lead a game-winning drive to make one of those throws. Tom Brady, same thing. So we've seen some of the great quarterbacks come up with those big moments in the biggest stage the game has to offer. Jimmy Garoppolo, to me, if you're going to be viewed as a franchise quarterback, you have to make those plays. To me, Jimmy Garoppolo is a good, not great quarterback. You need all the other areas of your team to be above average.
But you had a 10-point lead.
You had a 10-point lead, but
they didn't run the football barely. I mean,
but here's my point. They didn't run the football, but here's the thing. The first 2 drives in the 4th quarter, you had a 5-and-out, you had a 3-and-out. So at some point, when you have a double-digit lead, you have to be able to have some offensive productivity. And if you're not running the ball, well, that means he's giving the ball to the quarterback. Go out there and make the plays to keep drives going and try to get some points on it. He couldn't do it. And ultimately, he was in a situation down 4 with 2.5 minutes left to go, and he couldn't lead that game-winning drive. So, yeah, no matter how you slice it, to me, you have to put it on Jimmy Garoppolo.
But when you have a 10-point lead with a team that runs the football as effectively as the San Francisco 49ers, that's their blueprint. That's who they are. You got to close the game. They know who Jimmy G was. I mean, he's not going to lead a miraculous comeback. You know that. So for Kyle Shanahan, the play calling has to be on point, running the football effectively with the striking the balance between the two with play action. So it's not on Jimmy G. It's a collective effort. I think we know exactly who they both are, Kyle Shanahan and Jimmy G. They just weren't good enough in that moment to beat Kansas City in those circumstances.
Unfortunately for Kyle Shanahan and for the San Francisco 49ers, it's a lot like Super Bowl 51. It's not all on the coach.
Right.
Because the player, you miss a block, you take a sack you can't take, you commit a holding penalty, you can't commit. But it's not all on the coach. It's not all on the quarterback. It was a perfect storm of neither guy doing their job the way they needed to. And this is what Niner fans who were all in my mentions, I'll say that, all week long, oh, Jimmy G's going to show you. Why are you ignoring the numbers? He's top 5 in this, he's top 5 in that. Because we know who he is. He is not a guy, that if you have the ball and you have to go get a score, you feel good about. Just flatly, he's not. And you can bring up Niner fans all you want and hold on to 48-46 in New Orleans. I remind you, 48-46 in New Orleans, they are in 4th and 3 to lose, and a little dump off George Kittle makes everybody pay. And he's fine. He's not great. He's not terrible. He's fine. Unfortunately for him, fine wasn't going to be good enough yesterday.
No, fine wasn't going to be good enough, and I know we got to get to break, but I got to get this out. When you have a quarterback that has shown that he can be skittish at times, like Jimmy Garoppolo, there are no good answers for your head coach. You don't want him to throw it when he's got a lead. You don't want him to throw it when he's behind. Well, he's a quarterback. He's going to have to throw it at some point. And yesterday, when he had to, he couldn't get the job done.
Well, I'll keep coming back to this. They gave a guy that they clearly don't trust $137 million. They're going to have to figure out something about him.
I think they do it again because they got to the Super Bowl.
Because they got to the Super Bowl. Exactly. All right, Eddie, stick around. Coming up, is Patrick Mahomes proving he is the most clutch player in the NFL? That's next on First Things First.
You left out the word history, Jen.
Oh, I did? Did I?